This is the Financially Simple Podcast, a show dedicated to destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner. And now, here's your host, pizza-loving, certified financial planner, Justin Goodbread.
Welcome to Financially Simple. This is a finance show for small business owners about money, how it works in our business and personal lives, and how we can build wealth to be financially independent. I'm your host, Justin Goodbread, and today is episode number 8. Today's episode is titled Sticking With It, Personal Sustainability. You know, I'm not much a fan of country music. I'm just not. And people are going to go like, dude, really? You like the most country person I've ever met in my life? Yeah, I know, but I'm just not a country person. I like jazz, I like blues, I like 80s rock, I love some classical music, but country music is just not one of my things. However, there's a song that probably most people have heard at some point in their life, and it has a really catchy tune, and it stuck in my head years ago, and this Toby Keith actually performs the song, and the song is titled, I Want to Talk About Me. And it's got a catchy little storyline to it. And occasionally I'll bring that up and play with my wife or the kids about it. You know, it's like, hey, time out. I want to talk about me for a little bit. Today is talking about not necessarily me, Justin, but I want to talk about me, the business owner. You know, most of the time we're talking about the business itself. In episode 7, the last episode, we address business sustainability. And we spend all of our time talking about how we can make the business sustainable in a turbulent market or when bad times comes. Today, we're going to talk about your personal sustainability. We're talking about you, the business owner itself. And you could take this information and relay it to your employees or to your team, as I like to call them. Building a business is hard. Building a business to sell or one that's attractive on the market is harder. And then actually selling the business, as we're going to begin discussing, takes a lot of time and energy. And many people who are novice in the business world may think it's more like a sprint. You know, like somebody gets on the line, I think Usain Bolt, if I said his name correctly. I mean, that guy is super, super fast. I love watching some of these even football players, how fast these guys are. That's not business. Business is more like a marathon, or in my case, a triathlon. So some of you know, if you follow me on any of my social media outlets, you know I love to do triathlons. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before, I got a little housekeeping that I have to do. So guys, some of you have asked me about this rocket that I have in my office. You've seen it behind me for those of you who watch the podcast on YouTube. And the reason why I have this Apollo series rocket, this is the Saturn V rocket. The Apollo rocket is what many people refer to it as. They made its first unmanned test flight in 1967. And there were 13 of these rockets launched. Someone gave me this when I was in my early 20s. And I've had it ever since. And it's a reminder to me about today's topic. And that is the Apollo rocket used most of its fuel just to get off the launch pad. On the bottom of the rocket, if you look at it, it actually has 5 different thrusters on the bottom of it. And the rocket, whenever it launched into space, it would separate multiple times. But what was intriguing to me is when I heard the story about this particular rocket is it used up the majority of its fuel just to get off the launch pad. So at an altitude of 42 miles, the F1 engine, which is the large part, the main body of the actual rocket, would disconnect and fall into the ocean. And in that main body, it had 203,000 gallons of kerosene. 203,000. That's a lot of kerosene. You can light some lanterns with that one, couldn't you? It also had 318,000 gallons of liquid oxygen that would mix with the kerosene to create the needed combustion. Think about that. That's over 500,000 gallons. I can't even imagine how much that is in like on one of these tankers that we see filling up the gas station. You know, if you ever go by the gas station and see the semi. I mean, if you've seen this rocket in real life, it is mammoth. And the majority of its fuel was used just to get it off the launch pad. In fact, at 43 miles into space, just a minute or so into flight, that rocket was done. The main thrusting part of this rocket was done. And the remaining portion of the rocket, the smaller areas on the Apollo series spacecraft, would continue to go into orbit and then it would come back to space. No different in our business. We're going to burn so much fuel, so much energy, so much everything just to get our businesses off the ground. And now once they're off the ground, just slight course corrections can get us to where we need. And that's what today's topic is about. What I want to deal with is your personal sustainability. How much energy do you have? Life is going to come, storms are going to come, and you've got to be able to sustain those. So that's today's topic, personal sustainability. We're dealing with our personal energy. You cannot perform a peak performance unless you prepared yourself. So, like I mentioned earlier, I like to do triathlons. I like to do triathlons because it gives me something to mix up the way I exercise. I love to swim. In fact, I have a goal this next year to swim 10 miles. There's a race here in East Tennessee on the Chattanooga River where it's a 10-mile swim from starting to exiting point. And I want to be able to swim that 10 miles. But I hate running. I have fake parts in my knee, and it just hurts my little body to run. I don't mind doing the bike. I'm okay on the bike. I'm not a superstar on a bike. But to me, a triathlon gives me like a full exercise, so I'm able to swim, just bust it out on the swim. I can do the biking okay, and it gives my knee plenty of exercise. And then when it comes to the running part, I will like be the little short scamper. I'll walk along just fine. One day this last year, I had signed up for a half Ironman. And a half Ironman is where you'll swim about a mile and a half or so, depending on the race. You're going to bike about 56 miles, and then you're going to do a half marathon. Well, I had not properly prepared for the half Ironman. In fact, the 30 days prior to the race, I did no exercise whatsoever. And I was trying to deal with some health issues. Nonetheless, I committed to do the half Ironman, and I showed up to do the half Ironman only to get to about mile 6 and crash on the run. Actually, I smelled pizza and I had to take a detour and go eat some pizza, and then I just quit. And you're like, Justin, you're a quitter. Yeah, there was pizza, guys. Come on. In order for me to properly finish that triathlon or even to set a personal best, I have to have proper diet, proper exercise. I have to have meditation going into it. I have to have the education knowing when my body's going to crash and how to deal with the crashing of your body. And I have to have sleep. That's not that much different than our business, guys. I see so many business owners, and you can easily recognize, and perhaps you're one of them. We burn 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and we don't take time off for ourselves. We don't take time off to eat properly. We don't take time off to exercise. Forget meditation. I mean, that's not even anywhere. Quiet time, no, we don't ever stop. And then if we even stop, when do we educate ourselves about how to be better at what we're doing? When do we read? When do we take classes? When do we do advanced education? When do we sleep? I've talked to someone this last week and they were priding themselves on a 2 or 3 hours worth of sleep a night. That cannot be sustained. It cannot. You will crash. If you're my age in your 30s and you're looking at another 20, 30 years of work, yeah, Justin, you're going to retire before then. I don't know. I love what I do. I will probably for always do something. So to me, retirement's not even a word in the vocabulary to me. Retirement is for people who really don't like their jobs, is the way I look at it. So I'm going to work forever. I just like what I do. But I can't maintain a life. I'm going to die early if I don't exercise, control the way I eat, meditate, take some time for my meditation, and then educate myself. So if I have prepared my physical body and I've done those things, then it boils down to persistence in our business.
You are listening to Financially Simple, destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner.
You know, if we're lucky, and this is going to sound crazily strange when I say this the first time, if we're lucky, we will face some hard times in our business. We may go through a recession. We may deal with turbulent customers. We may deal with legal issues. We may deal with changes in economics. At some point, if we're lucky, we're going to face something like that. And you're like, Justin, have you lost your ever-loving mind? No, I haven't. The reason why I say if we're lucky, because it means that you've been in business long enough to have a life cycle come along and you're going to deal with things. So I'm saying if we're lucky, I don't want to have a business that's just here today and gone tomorrow. I don't want to have a business that I just make lots of money on in one day and then it's just gone and no one remembers it. I want to make a lasting impact. And I don't know about your goals, but that's my goals. And so if I'm lucky, I'm going to face some hard times just by pure life, just by pure circumstances. So what's going to get us through those hard times? If in fact we have our health taken care of, then it comes into persistence. So let me give you a little bit of my story. And I'll try not to always talk about me. I like to give you examples, as you've known, just in these first 6 or 7 episodes. But I've had a couple of people say, Justin, what's your story, man? We love listening to you, but what's your story? So here's the deal. I was homeschooled my entire life, pretty much growing up, and I graduated, went off to a Christian college and didn't want to be in the Christian college, and went back and I hated college. I mean, I went from being able to learn in 5 minutes time to now sitting in the class and listening to a professor tell me what I need to know, and I could get it in 5 minutes time anyways. And it's just such a waste of time, so I hated school. So long story short, I got an associate degree. That turned into being able to use that degree to grow a business. And I sold the business. And I moved to East Tennessee with my wife and entered the financial world. I was actually recruited by American Express Financial Advisors back in 2003, 2004, and came to the financial world. And I entered the world when the market was just doing outstanding. And during that time, I was able to save and invest and prepare myself for the upcoming storms that I knew would come. And you're going, Justin, you knew they would come? Yeah, there's always seasons, people. We're going to have seasons of drought. We're going to have seasons of harvest. We're going to have seasons of famine. We're going to have good seasons and bad seasons. So if you're in a season of drought right now and you're like, man, I can barely make a buck, hang in there. Be persistent. You're going to go to the next season. If you're in a season of abundance, maybe the harvest is in right now, and I'm using, agricultural terms. That's my degree. I use those a lot. But if you're in a season of harvest right now, hold tight. Winter's coming. You're going to go through a winter time. So my story was one that I was preparing myself for whatever came about. And boy, when it came, it hit me square in the teeth. I'm talking about lost all my teeth, knocked me down, didn't want to get up. Have you ever had something come up in your life where you just want to just get in your car and drive away? Yeah, that was me. This particular event was legal in nature. I'm going to just summarize it without getting into all the fun, sexy details of we went through a business partnership, divorce, and the divorce was nasty and it was expensive and it was long. It took 7 years. I can remember many days in those 7 years of time going through dealing with lawyers every day. A lawyer, by the way, is like a chainsaw. You have to have them. I have 2 or 3 chainsaws on the farm, and if I have to use a chainsaw, I'll go out and use it. But at the end of the day, I am slap worn out. The reason why you're worn out is it's wearing you out physically, but you mentally have to be sharp as a tack because you don't know if that chainsaw is going to jump back and cut you open somewhere. A lawyer, to me, is the same way. Now, we need them. They're like a chainsaw. You got to have a good one, and you want it to be razor sharp, and you want to be able to cut something to the bone. And if you have a good lawyer, man, you're set well in life. But after 7 years of dealing with a lawyer, folks, I was slapped silly, talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, not to mention the amount of opportunity it cost me during that time period. What am I driving at? You got to prepare yourself today for your personal sustainability. Had I not saved up money in the time of harvest whenever things were good, I wouldn't have been able to get through the bad time. Had I not prepared myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, economically, every way possible in the good times, then you're never going to get through the bad times. So today's podcast is a short one, and it is summed up in this one simple thing. You are being prepared today for what you're prepared for. Let's say that one more time. You are being prepared today for what you're being prepared for. Og Mandino used to say the expression, I think Charlie Tremendous Jones jumped in there as well. I think both of them actually coined it in 2 different ways. They said it this way: where you'll be 5 years from now is determined by the books you read today and the people you associate with today. So look around. How are you preparing yourself, the business owner? Are you burning the candle at both ends? It can't last, people. It can't. Take it from somebody who's been in business for 25 years. You're like, Justin, I don't have time. You're going to make time. Either your body will tell you, the good Lord will tell you, your family will tell you, something is going to happen, and you will make time. Why not do it on your own accord? Why not take a little bit of time over the next 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months or a year and prepare yourself? Invest in yourself. It's that simple. If you personally are not sustainable, if your person cannot get through a hard time, your business will never be sustainable. Your employees will not be sustainable. Your team will fall apart. Your family perhaps could fall apart. I've seen families crash during this time, and I cannot imagine the heart wrench that people go through. And perhaps you've gone through that. I can't imagine financially having to deal with bankruptcy or things of that nature because you don't prepare yourself for the storm. So today's just a gentle reminder. We're fixing to dive off into some pretty heady things here in the next coming up episodes on how to prepare the business for sale. But none of it will work unless you yourself are physically prepared for those next steps in life. So if it's a Friday and you're listening to this, take the day off. You have my permission. If it's a Monday, take the day off. You have my permission. If it's in the evening, stop now, go home. If it's in the morning, figure out how you can get out of the office sooner than later. Make it a priority to take care of yourself. So guys, that's it for this rather short episode. It was just a little thought I had on getting ready for this next coming up episodes that we have to prepare ourselves for personal sustainability. Guys, I always say life is hard. Life is fun. Business can be stressful. Money and business doesn't have to be. Let's continue to make our lives, at least financially, simple. Hey, y'all make it a great day.
You have been listening to the Financially Simple podcast. The information in this show is for informational purposes only. This show is not investment advice. Instead, seek help from a competent financial advisor. Justin Goodbread, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Heritage Investors, a registered investment advisor.